Hello folks, in today's video we will build one stopwatch like this using only HTML, CSS and JS. So we can click on start and the stopwatch will start. We can click on pause and then when we click on start again it will start from there. And we can also click on stop to close it. So if you watch till the end of this video you will have one stopwatch very similar to this. So here we have one empty project. I have an index.html file with a sample boilerplate and I have an empty script.js and style.css file. So here I will first open this one with the live server. So it is only saying stopwatch and that's correct. So now I will start adding the HTML. So first of all I will add one class called container in a div, and inside this container I will have my time. So I will give my time in h1 and the time will be something like this 00:00:, and last is zeros for the milliseconds. That's correct. But I don't want my time to be shown like this. This time every individual hour, minute and second should be accessible. So inside this h1 I will give another div, and this time I will give the ID of, let's say, time screen. And inside this time screen I want 4 span where I will keep all my times. So the first span will have the ID of hour and it will have this 00, and then after that we will have one colon. Then I have my minute, again 00, and after the span we have colon. Then comes my second and 00 again, and after that we have colon, and lastly we have milliseconds, and let's name the ID milli, and now we have 3 zeros. So this is how we will create our time screen. Now after my time screen I want another div with the class of controls. So this will be within the container but outside this h1. So here let's create another div with the class name of controls, and I will have 3 controls, and those are my start button, pause button and stop button. So I will create one class of btn. Actually I will create 3 such classes in 3 divs, and the first one will have the ID of start and the button name is also start. Next one will have the ID of pause and the button name is also pause. The third one will have the ID of stop and the button name is also stop. So this is correct. That's all our HTML. So now let's add some styles to make it look like a stopwatch. So first of all I will start with my body, and in this body let me first give one background color of wheat, and let's also change the font family to let's say Cambria. And then we have to do a few more things. We have to do display of flex, and then we will do flex direction column, and then we will align item center. Yeah, so our everything is now centered horizontally. So then comes my container, and here I will, now for the heading this style looks good, Cambria, but for the like for these buttons and the numbers I want a different font family. So inside the container I will add my font family as monospace, this one. Yeah, this looks much more digital. And then let's also give some border. Let's give the border of 2 pixel solid black, so we know where our stopwatch is located. Let's increase the width to 400 pixels, and that's fine. Let's also give the background color of white, and some border radius would be good, so 25 pixels. And also inside we also need to do the display flex, and then comes flex direction column, and then basically align item center. Yeah, this is what we need. And also let's give some box shadow to make it look good, and let's give the shadow as 0 pixel, 5 pixel, 0 pixel, 0 pixel, black. Yeah, this kind of shadow we want. And now my containers is done, and now in the time screen let me give some more styles. I will get another border of 2 pixel solid black, and so we have our container. Let me give some padding of 5 pixels and also some border radius of 10 pixels, and let's give some box shadow also. let's give it 0 pixel, 0 pixel, 3 pixel, 0 pixel, and now this time we will give black inset. Now this box shadow is something else you should know. Maybe we'll cover this in a separate video. For this you can follow this, and let's give the background color, it's already white, let's give white smoke. Let's keep it white only, this looks much better. So now my time screen styles is also done. Now in the controls also I have to do, you already know what I have to do, and that is display of flex. And this display flex is not enough, we have to do some gap. Okay, so control styles is not working for some reason, and that is because it is controls and not control. And let's give the gap of 10 pixel. Yeah, this is fine, could be better, but okay. First of all, let's individually style the buttons and we will come over. And let's give a background color of, let's say, wheat. This is fine, I mean, could be better. Okay, let's give a background color of brown and color of white. Yeah, this looks much better to me. And let's give the width of, let's say, 60 pixel, 50, let's make it 60. And also border, we need some border, let's make it 2 pixel solid black. And I suppose we also need some margin bottom, let's make it 25 pixel. Yeah, now this is much better. And also let's improve the font size to, let's say, 1.25 rem. How is this? Okay, let's make it 1.2. yeah. And also let's make the font weight as bold. And also let's give the back border radius of 15 pixel. And one thing we are not doing, let's make it 10 pixel, 15 is too much. And one thing we are not doing that we need to do, and that is we have to do text align center, TAC. Okay, I believe we should also give some height. So let's give a height of, what about 40 pixel? Okay, this is too much. 30, 20. Okay, let's remove the height only, and let's give some padding instead. Let's give a padding of 5 pixel. Yeah, now this looks much more like a button. Only thing we need to do is give one box shadow, and we will give same as my container. So instead of 5 pixel, I suppose we should give here, let's give 3 pixel. Okay, not this one, we want this kind of button. Yeah, now this is fine. And also let's add some button hover effect. So for button hover means whenever we are placing our cursor, you will see in a minute. So let's change the background color to wheat and my color to black. Now you will see. So this is the button hover effect. And yeah, and lastly also add one button click event. So button click will be when the button is active. In that case I want to change my box shadow. So box shadow, let's change to 0 pixel, 0 pixel, and instead of, okay, 0 pixel, 1 pixel. So I want to decrease the box shadow when I'm clicking on the button, black. So now you will see this effect. Okay, let's make it 2 pixel. Okay, this looks more realistic according to me. And also let's just improve the border radius of the buttons to 15 only. Yeah, so our styling for this was also done. And instead of font family, let's give a separate font family. Let's give this one. I mean, it doesn't matter really, but yeah, let's also take care of the styles. So now our HTML and CSS part is done. We have to write some JavaScript code. So first of all, I'll start by identifying my DOM sections. So let's first create time screen, and we will do document get element by ID of, we have my time screen. And then for every hour, minute, second and millisecond we have to write. So let for hour equals to document dot get element by ID, and we want to identify the hour. And similarly we need 3 more. So this will be for my minute, this one will be for my second, this is for second, and last one will be for my millisecond, so let's write it milli. Yeah, and also we have to create the DOM sections for my buttons also. So I have my start btn, and that will be same document get element by id, and this will be start. And similarly for the in place of start we have my pause btn, and lastly for the stop btn. So yeah, that's all. So now we have to write the code what happens when we are clicking on a button. So first of all, let's start with the start button. So let's write start button over here for reference, and we will write start btn dot add event listener, and the event is click. So when we are clicking on this, what we want to do, that we have to write over here. So first of all, let's create few more variables. Let's create a variable called start time, and let's give it the value of 0. And so when we are simply clicking on the start button, let's assign the start time to date.now, and we will see what is this value. Let's console log this value of start time, and now we will open our console. We are in console, and now when we click on start, we see one big value over here. So this value is nothing but the number of milliseconds that has passed since 1971 January. This is how date works. So we have this number over here. Now we have to use this number somehow to create the functionality of this stopwatch. So that we will see now. So first of all, what I'll do is that I will create one function, and I'll name it update time function. And what this function will do is it will update our time, whatever we have. So let's return it as of now. And whenever we are clicking on the start button, what I want to do is I want to run this update function at a set interval. So let's create another variable. Let's name it let update time event. And what we want to do is we want to assign this update time event one value of set interval. And what this set interval does is it runs one function over a period of time. So what this will do is it will run this update time in every 100 milliseconds. So here let's write something. Let's write hello world. So when we are clicking on start, as you can see, it is printing out hello world after every 100 milliseconds. So this is how this set interval method works. So anyway, so what I want to do is instead of printing hello world, I want to print my time that is going ahead. So here what I'll do is I will create another variable, and I'll name it elapsed time. So, and let's assign this to 0. And what this elapsed time I will assign here is I will assign the value of date.now, which is the current millisecond, which will be updated after every 100 millisecond, and I will just subtract the value of my start time. And if I console log this one, you will see something very interesting, elapsed time. And let's start. As you can see, the value of my counter is going up. So this is something that we can actually put the output over here. So now let's work on that. So to do that, first of all, I will have to create few more of my variables, and these variables will be how much time has been elapsed in specific cases. So I will have some elapsed milliseconds, then I will have some elapsed seconds, then I will have some elapsed minutes, and I will also have some elapsed hour also. So first of all, what is my elapsed millisecond? And that is basically my elapsed time, whatever this millisecond is going at, and this elapsed time modulus 1000. So this is my elapsed millisecond. And what is my elapsed minute? And here I have to do one. Okay, first of all, I'll have to do my elapsed second, and here I have to do one math.float. So what is my elapsed second? So we know that 1000 millisecond is equals to 1 second. So my elapsed second will be math.float elapsed time, which is in milliseconds, divided by 1000. And for elapsed minute, this will be math.float, and this time it will be elapsed second divided by 60, because 60 seconds is 1 minute. And for elapsed hour, this will be, you have guessed it already, math.float this will be elapsed minute divided by 60. So yeah, our job is done over here. And now what we need to do is we have to write these outputs. So let's give one space over here and another space here. So the output will be, we have to write it something like this. So we have my hour, minute, seconds and milli. So in milli dot inner HTML, I will assign the value of elapsed milli, and similarly for the others. In place of this one, I will assign, actually this is not a good practice, because this will be second dot inner HTML will be elapsed second, then my comes minute dot inner HTML will be elapsed minute, and then second dot inner HTML will come my elapsed. I guess I did something wrong over here. Minute, and this one will be actually hour, not second. Yeah. So now when we click on this, what happens? We see that some kind of stopwatch works, but there is something definitely wrong going ahead here with the styles. So actually we will check this thing later. First let's build the functionality, and then we will see how to fix this issue. And lastly, we can remove this return. Yeah, so that's it. So our start button works. So now let's start working on some other buttons. So yeah, so for the other buttons, let's first create the event listeners for some other buttons. So pause button, and then we have our stop button. So first let's start working on the pause button. So pause button dot add event listener, and the event is 1 second click. And when we click on this, what will happen? So now we will do one thing. We will create another variable here called paused, and let's assign the value of true to paused. And what we want to do is whenever we are clicking on start, first we want to check if this paused value is true or not. Only if this is true, do whatever you have here. So here I will add something. I will add if paused, only then you do all of this stuff. So now when we click on start, it will work because the paused value is true. And now in the pause button, the first thing we want to check is if this paused value is false. So if not paused, only then we want to do whatever we want. And first of all, after clicking on this paused, here I will assign paused equals to true. And in this case, once we are clicking on the start, the pause is no longer true. So the paused value over here will be false. This is the first thing that will happen in both the cases. And after this, we will do something else. So here, what I will write is elapsed time. Elapsed time equals to my date dot now minus start time. So what is this happening over here? And lastly, we will also clear this interval. And what we will clear? The update time. So what it will happen is it will stop executing the function that we have triggered in my start button. So let's see what happens in this case. So we have clicked on start and it is definitely going up, and then we click on pause. So right now nothing happens. And why nothing happens? That is the question. And that is because actually we have to clear this update time event, not the update time. So in the start button, we are assigning the value of set interval to update time event, and what we have to clear is the update time event, which is calling this update time function. So we cannot directly cancel this one because it is not being called directly. So now let's save this one, and now the pause button will work. So yeah, the time is going up, and now let me click on pause. So I've clicked on pause. Now if I click on start, something strange happens, and that is it is starting again from the 0. And why is that? So we will know that by doing some console logs over here. So here let me console log my start time and my elapsed time. And here again I will console those same things. I will console my start time and elapsed time. So after this paused, let me simply start time, and this will be elapsed time, and let's see what is coming. And let's simply remove this elapsed time from here, because we already know what is happening over there. So when we are clicking on start time, I have my start time as this one and my elapsed time is 0. And now when we click on pause, what happens? And it is saying that elapsed time is not defined, and that is because we have one syntax error. And the syntax error is here. Yeah, It is not elapsed time, it is only elapsed time. So okay, so let's check again. So my start time is this one, and when we click on pause, we see something. We see that the start time is still the same. That is because the start time is not getting changed. However, my elapsed time is this one. So now when we click on start again, what happens? The start time has changed, and the elapsed, we have the elapsed time, but what happens is this function has nothing to do with the elapsed time. So what happens is it directly sends the start time over here, and it is again starting from scratch. So what we have to do is we have to somehow store the interval of this 3444, whatever interval is there, somewhere. So what we can simply do over here is we can do date now minus elapsed time. So now what will happen is this error will no longer come. So now this one 0. We can click on pause, and this is the elapsed time, and when we click on start, it will again start from there. And why is that? And that is because again when I'm clicking on the start time, it knows what is the date and it knows what is the elapsed time, and it is sending that start time in the update time function. And so whenever it is deleting the start time, it has already taken into account the elapsed time. So that is because, and that is the reason, like it will start from where we have stopped. And in the previous case, we were not taking this part into account, so it was not working. It may take some time to get this thing wrapped around your head, so feel free to take some time for this, but this is how basically it will work. So yeah, that's it. So now these two buttons are working. So now we will work on my stop button. So again, stop button dot add event listener, and what we want here, again the event is click, and whenever we are clicking on this, what do we want to do? We want to basically stop everything. So we can simply do that start time, not button, start time is 0, and elapsed time is also 0, and then I mean, yeah, that's it. There is nothing much we need. We also need to clear this interval, update time event, and yeah, on one more thing, and that is paused is true. It is not working anything, so paused is true. And yeah, so start, and then when we click on stop, it is stopping at this instant only, and as you can see, it is starting from 0. So what we simply have to do is we have to basically take this part and assign the value of empty. So here I have to make it 0 0 0 0 0. For this one I have to make it 0 0. Basically I'm just directly changing the text, and that's what we have to do over here. And last one is also 0 0. So now our stopwatch works perfectly fine. So start works, pause also works, stop also works. We have started and we are stopping. Yeah, it works absolutely fine. So we can clear out the logs, and let's deal with the style issue in the time screen. So that's all that is left. So let's also remove this console logs. Yeah. And now what do we have to do over here? So what is happening over here is that these are values. So when we are assigning these values to the inner HTML, it is, so let's say my hour and minute is 0. So it will not take 00 over here. It is directly taking 0. So there is a trick to solve this thing, and we will start doing that from my hour. So I will use my ternary operator, and I will say that if my elapsed hour is less than 10, what I want to do, I want to basically add a 0. So I will do add a 0, and then I will add my elapsed hour. And in case this is not less than 10, okay, that means the hour is like 12, 13 or something like that in 2 digits, then I will simply pass my elapsed hour. So now as you can see, I will have my 2 digits in my hour. So the same thing need to be done for the minutes and seconds. So for minute also, I have my 0 and then elapsed minute, and if this is false, then I will do my elapsed minute. Similarly for seconds, if this one is true, then 0 plus elapsed second, and otherwise simply elapsed second. But what about for the millisecond? Here we have 3 zeros. So what I have to do over here is do one nested ternary operator. So how can we do that? So let's see over here. So let's say this one is less than 100. Okay, now let's say this one is true, that it is really less than 100. Okay, let's use multiple lines over here. So we have our elapsed milli. Let's say this one is less than 100, and let's say this is true. Now we have to check if this is also less than 10. So if this is also less than 10, then we want to do something. So what we want to do then? We want to add 2 zeros, and then we want to add our elapsed milli. And okay, so this one is done. And when this is not less than 10, it can still be less than 100. So in that case, we will add 1 zeros, elapsed milli. And when this is also not less than 100, so it is in 3 digits, then we will simply add our like elapsed milli, whatever is that. So yeah, now this will work perfectly fine. So we can start, and as you can see, our minutes and seconds, everything is working fine. So let's wait for a few seconds to let it reach 2 digits. And yeah, 2 digits is also perfectly fine. Now we will not wait for 1 minute to pass. So as you can see, just you can play around with it. So start works, pause works, and stop is also working. So that's it for this video. Our stopwatch is ready. So thanks for watching. Bye bye.